Hi, I'm Ashton Sharon, and this is Sharon the Story. Today, I'm going to be sharing a story that actually my husband and myself, we wrote this story. It is called the Gardner Academy series. It's not even this particular story has a name yet, so this is brand new content, and we'd like to share it with you. So I'm going to start with just chapter 1 today. Chapter 1, School. It's another typical day in Washington. Foggy, wet, and disgusting. The smell of pine trees is a brief reprieve from the day after monotonous day full of prison rules and regulations that the school board thinks creates conducive learning environments. I wonder how I can even make it to tomorrow, more or less survives the next 4 years of this hell. I mean, it's only been 4 days and I'm bored to tears. School is way too easy. The pointlessness of it all. Educate us. It's writing a report on a book I read in 5th grade, for goodness sake. Maybe I'm getting old, less patient, or maybe I just hope that high school would be different. All I know is that I'm sitting here in my desk, constructed in like the 1970s, which makes it roughly 30 years younger than the school itself, enduring the snooze fest that is Mrs. McAllister's 4th period English class. Awaiting for the time-honored tone that commences the end of this torture. Who decides 4th period is for English anyway? I sure didn't sign up for this. If I wasn't propping my head in my hand, I'd be asleep. The intercom pings, breaking me away from my thoughts. Christopher Adler Jr., please report to the front office. That's my name. Surely it's not me. I've never gotten in trouble. That's why they call you to the office, isn't it? Maybe I'm being recruited for Quiz Bowl. I mean, anything is better than this, right? The receiver clicks as it slams down, and the sound reverberates across the room. My heart sinks. I rise up from the seat. Christopher. It's so common, not to mention my dad's name. Kit sounds much better. Short, efficient, unique. Kit is a name with personality. My personality. But how should I expect how should I expect a Granville High School office receptionist to know what name a newbie freshman like me prefers? I scuttle across the room through the hushed scoffs of my fellow classmates. I'm Hester Prynne with a scarlet letter L for loser. My contemporaries stare at me awkwardly. My punishment, I suppose, for sitting in the back of the class. I know this summoning can't be because of something I did wrong, but for some reason my heart won't stop pounding. I walk out the door and I know one thing and one thing only. I don't want to ever step back into that room. I move faster away from the door and down the white tiled halls towards the front office. Of course the walls are white. Springing for color would cost. And who gives a rat about creativity? Now I'm in the front office. Shirley. She looks like a Shirley, at least. The round, rotund receptionist greets me with a sing-song voice that somehow makes the whole ominous situation seem laughable. I step up to the counter and glance over. I see a small open bag of pork rinds. My name is Christopher Adler. I was called to the office. Of course you are, honey. 3rd office to the right, she smiles. Who on earth would be this happy to work here? Must be those pork rinds. I walk down the hallway for what feels like an eternity. I pass office doors of important people, doors of the principal and both vice principals. Why any small high school needed 2 vice principals was beyond me. Perhaps if one of the principals was assassinated, one of the vices could take its place. Funny to think 2 grown adults would aspire just to be principal. What a terrible job to keep order of us. As I pass these doors, I notice something. Looking within the small windows, I see these men in their offices, all sitting at their cheap department store wood desk. I'm very particular when it comes to desk, working on what I could only believe wasn't school related. I see a small room to the right at the end of the hall with a placard reading conference room. If the principal and vice principals were all in their offices, who was I going to meet in this conference room? I noticed my dad sitting quietly in the corner. Why is he here? He should be at work. He's always working. I don't blame him. It's been hard for all of us lately. The hospital hours give him a sense of stability and a place that he can still take care of others. He looks smaller sitting in the corner, his brown hair thinning and salted, and his eyes aged. Dad, what are you doing here? Is everything all right? Is Maddie okay? For a second, I'm thrown back into the day that I learned about my mother's death, but I push it down as quick as it pops up. You both are here, speaks a woman whose presence I only just now notice. She clears her throat and finishes, because I have asked the school to call a meeting. Her long dark hair is drawn back past her black framed glasses. She is short, and it's easy to see why I didn't notice her before. Her navy blue pinstripe suit matches the back wall and makes her appear as though she is a floating head. A flash of light bounces off the strange metal brooch fastened to her lapel. The brooch appears to be metal, but nothing I've ever seen before. Gray, but with a turquoise sheen to it. For a lady dressed stylishly from head to toe, it felt out of place. Not decorative, but just there. Please sit down. My name is Dr. Candace Newman. I am an academic guidance counselor. Her voice was proper, kind, but full of authority. I am sorry, I don't understand. Is this about kids' grades? Because he's only been in class for a week, and This is not about his grades, Mr. Adler, she interrupted. Kit, do you remember the test you took the last week of Granville Middle School? The last week of middle school? That was months ago, but I vaguely remember some sort of IQ test that we had to take. I just chalked it up to some new bureaucratic standardized testing. Yeah, it was an IQ test or something, I mumble. Yes, the Gardner Stanford intelligence test, in fact. Your score was exceptionally high, Kit. It's the kind of score that we at Gardner Academy look for when admitting students. Academy? I look at my father. His tired face lights up with a mixture of pride and curiosity. Gardner Academy? I have never heard of that school. Is it here in Seattle, Dad asked. No, I'm afraid it's a lot farther than Seattle, Mr. Adler. It's in San Francisco. She picks up a black leather-bound portfolio and pulls out a sealed envelope that looks like a black brochure. She slides the brochure across the table to my dad and places the white envelope in front of me. The words Gardner Academy are printed in the upper left-hand corner. I stare at the silver embossed letters. This is it. Something besides this forsaken school, an alternative to rotting away in this place for the next 4 years. Maybe a mecca for people like me. Gardner Academy has the top teachers, professors, and staff. Graduates from this school go on to the top universities all around the world. The black frames have now slid down towards the end of her nose. So this academy is some sort of prep school, I ask. It's a private academic institution, yes. We specialize in high IQ and intellectually gifted students. My dad looks over at me in shock. Good news doesn't come often to our family. He stares at me for a second, looks down at the brochure, overwhelmed, and attempts to hide the look on his face, the lines on his forehead scrunched together. Dr. Newman pushes her glasses back up her face. Her eyes linger on my dad. In that moment, I see her pupils triple in size, only a small ring of brown left. All that intensity focuses in on him. She studies my dad's expression. She looks more like someone reading a book. My dad begins to stutter. Well, listen, this sounds like a great opportunity, but I work second shift at Seattle Methodist Hospital as a cardiac nurse, a job you have held since you graduated top of your class from the University of Washington School of Nursing, which is not a simple task, Mr. Adler. She smiles. My father's eyes grow large, full of bewilderment. I guess what I'm trying to get at is that I just don't know if it's something that It sounds very expensive. A pang of guilt strikes. My dad does everything to take care of me and my sister Maddie. I thought this topic might come up, but rest assured, Gardner Academy would not accept Kit as a student if we weren't prepared to offer full scholarship covering tuition, meals, and housing. How is that possible? Take a look at the brochure, Mr. Adler. Students that go to the Academy go on to do great things. Many of our alumni are now CEOs, Nobel Prize laureates, professional athletes, and political leaders. They will donate to provide opportunities for the future's best and brightest. We are also the recipient of several federal research grants due to our success in cognitive intelligence studies. We believe Kit will succeed in proving to us that he is worthy of the Academy. As long as he keeps up his grades and adheres to our strict conduct policy, we can assure him the greatest education and a lifetime of opportunities. Relieved, I look up at the doctor's face, her light brown eyes covered behind thin glass looking right at me, her pupils expanding just as before. There is only one problem, however. She pauses, still looking at me. Unfortunately, we received your scores late, Kit, so your acceptance is a bit last minute. New student orientation will start Monday. But today is Thursday, spoke my father. Kit, you will need to make a decision today, she says.